back to my channel, and today's topic is gonna be immersion versus realism in the game and how exactly this translates for Ghost Recon Wildlands and my thoughts of this. Now, first off, just for legal reasons, this is my opinion only, and it's not to actually bash someone or to start an argument with someone or whoever might take it personally, okay? Let's have a not even a philosophical episode, but I just want to understand the differences, right? Maybe we can all just think about this. Which direction the gaming industry in 2021 is going. Those who watched my stream and those who actually did and left a comment or participated in the chat, big shout out to you guys. Thanks a lot. You know, it's very nice to see that people are still playing and are still interested in Ghost Recon Wildlands in 2021, despite it being 2017 title. And obviously, there are reasons why we are choosing to play this game. Whatever reason you have, it doesn't mean it's a bad or good reason, or, you know, if you have the game and you enjoy playing it, do whatever you want with it. I mean, end of the day, right? GTA 5. People are playing role-playings in GTA 5 like a proper role-playing mods. They live a life in GTA 5, which, honestly, modding community went nuts with that stuff. It wasn't the game's purpose at the very beginning. It was kind of like to live through the eyes of certain individuals, right? But people transformed it. The whole community transformed the game into completely different entity altogether. So when I'm talking about the games in terms of how realistic they are, and if it's immersive, I think I might have found an answer after actually playing a bit more Tier 1 mode again. Now, if we remember good old days when the games just started to come out, right? We're talking, let's say Pokemon. Yeah, whatever, Pokemon. Screw it. On Nintendo DS. So first of all, the Pokemon on Nintendo DS, it was a 2D world. It wasn't really 3D world. We had a lot of pixels. However, it was, well, not really realistic because it's a world of Pokemon, but it was with a bit of realism in terms of houses, tall grass, human interaction, and different characters. So even if it's a fantasy world, we are taking bits and pieces from our own world so we can relate to them. And this relating to something builds the realistic experience and creates the immersion. Of course, in terms of Pokemon, you basically let your fantasy run wild, you know, all the stuff. However, the realistic aspect is if you walk into a tall grass in real life, you might find something you never knew actually lives there, and that's the whole point of the Pokemon as well. Not entirely, but you get the idea. Now, when it comes to 2021 and gaming industry in general, I must say Ghost Recon Wildlands is very amazingly looking game. So just I did a video about this, like why Ghost Recon is beautiful game, like the way it's made. I mean, all this, right? Of course, I'm not gonna say all the trees are the same copy paste. Well, they kinda are, that's fine, but you know, whatever, like the overall feel is very realistic. However, there are bits and pieces missing for the simple reason we still haven't found a way how to copy the real world into the game 1 versus 1. But we are trying, and this is exactly the breaking point why things are not exactly working out. Now, the gaming industry is trying very hard to bring our experience in games the same way it would be in real life. For instance, here's a pickup truck, right? Let's take a look at this pickup truck. As you can see, it's very nicely modeled. You can see reflections. You can see actually metal bits, the glass is doing some sort of reflection, the windshield, even you can see the rubber that connects that. So this model of the car is taken out of real life almost. I highly doubt it would have 2.7 liter engine, but you can clearly see the work that's put into it. Even the keyhole to put in the key on a door, which technically we won't even need, right? So, but we still have it. when it comes to the physics themselves, this car is, well, I would say, kind of acting a bit realistic. Look how suspension works. It does go, it shifts the weight, the suspension is working, and everything is actually maybe not 1-to-1 in terms of how a real life truck would work, but it again has this hint of realism. So all these hints of realism is to help you as a player feel immersed in a game world that feels more connected to the real life while being completely separated. And that's where the games actually come into play. Why we are playing games, why we are doing role plays, why are we actually exploring, spending hours of different games playing driving simulators, playing Ghost Recon for instance, or playing For Honor or whatever, right? You can live a character, you can be the character, you can feel the character, or at least look at the historical things of side of things and stuff like that. So why cannot we go all the way? So when it comes to this car's realism, how immersive is to actually crash a car and see that there's an actual damage? I must say, this is realistic, right? Does it give you immersion that if you crash it into the rock and you smash it completely, does it give you the realistic way of how it handles? Not really. So here is this break of immersion, which we need to fill out with our fantasy. Now, all of this would make sense unless there are people who want more. Why do they want more? Because the gaming industry is actually doing a very good job of making realistically looking games to help the player to immerse themselves. Now the problem is, the more you have, the more you will want more, or whatever the saying is. So in this case, smashing the car into that rock technically should have bent the frame. There should be a leaking radiator, and well, I do believe, you can't really drive this car, but again, there are things that are already there. The mirror is broken, the door is kind of open, the frame is a wee bit bent. The glass is actually broken and stuff like that. So they are trying to bring this immersive thing into the game. But that's as far as it goes. Everything else in this game, specifically in Wildlands, everything that comes afterwards is exactly left for interpretation of the actual player. Let's take our guns for instance. So as you know, you have to level up guns, and that makes no sense because how can you using food increase damage output of the gun? It doesn't matter, and it's actually not the point. The point is how realistic this game could have been with little tiny minor changes that I believe can be done, and surprise surprise is already done and present in Breakpoint. Which I'm not saying Breakpoint is better in any way. Well, as you can see, I still play the Wildlands because I still believe this is way much more polished game in comparison to Breakpoint. Probably Breakpoint will be same as Wildlands in a couple years, but who knows. So the first thing that I noticed, and you probably noticed in the stream as well, was a chat about immersion, what's required for immersion and how to do it. Now, my response to that is, play as you want, okay? It doesn't really matter. But if you are telling me that you're gonna play Mario Kart on immersion level like you would be playing Richard Burns Rally as a rally simulator, I think you're gonna end up pretty disappointed. Because even if the Mario Kart fills the first requirements of actually a driving arcade or driving as in general, it has a car, different multiple models of cars, 4 wheels, a steering wheel, and a driver. There's jumps, there are turns, there are different power-ups that you need to upgrade your wheels or upgrade your engine. At the same time, try as you might, you cannot play it as a rally simulator or try to create a world where it will behave or be like a rally simulator. For the simple reason, the game does not support it. It's up to you to do it. So, how do you do it? You create rules. And this is, I believe, the biggest difference when it comes if the game is realistic or can you do immersive. Because if you want to do immersive, you have to set certain rules. Now, what I mean by that, everybody knows this amazing gun, which is an HTC Desert Tech, or HTI, I call it HTC, in a good memory of my phone that's dead. As we know, there's a thing that this gun, in particular, is a 50 cal. So it's a very, very, very loud 50 cal. We also know that these enemies have a sound detection cone of, if I'm not mistaken, actually 120 meters. But let's see if I go to 150. So whoever says that from this distance, in broad daylight, shooting a 50 cal, you cannot hear it, you are lying. This is the break into immersion. There's no way in hell a 50 cal being with a mountain behind me that will echo the sound towards the base, will not ring this base up as a huge bell only 150 meters away. A 50 cal in a clear day without any fog or rain or thunder can be heard up to 1.5 miles. That's a fact. A 9mm pistol can be heard up to 2/4 of the mile. 1 mile, for those who don't live in a mile countries but is in Europe, 1 mile is 1.6 kilometers. And when you actually are shooting a pistol and the enemies don't hear you shooting a pistol unsilenced because you somehow are out of your pistol sound detection range, I'm sorry. The problem is, this game looks so good. It wants you to actually use this immersion, but it breaks it by its own rules. Because technically, if you are not being heard 150 meters away, why even put on a suppressor? Suppressors, by the way, is a very good idea to mention because they make no sense in this game. First of all, you need a skill for the suppressor to actually not give you trouble, which is advanced suppressor, removes the damage reduction of suppressors. Yes, the damage reduction of suppressors happens for the simple reason, due to the, muzzle velocity of the bullet, it will reduce the velocity of the bullet due to the expansion of the gases, or since the gases are contained and compressed into the suppressor, it will actually lower the muzzle velocity of the bullet coming out. You know what also happens with that? That means the bullet not only is slower, it automatically loses the range. That means if I have, let's say this guy, 236 meters. The bullet hit him right here, right? I'm gonna put on the suppressor and the bullet should actually hit around here. The bullet hit exactly in the same spot. It was delayed because the muzzle velocity is lower, but it traveled the same distance. So how the hell would that work in real life is unknown, because it doesn't work. And this is the point where people who are looking for this realistic thing, they just cannot find it because it's simply not there. Nope. Oh well, guess this is a realistic thing that someone is onto me. However, it's only onto me because I was detected while sitting on a mountain 150 meters away. So, can this game be played immersively? Yes, it can. And obviously there's a lot of people, a lot of channels who are proving it. However, after you play the main game, you will already, by the end of the game, you will already play by the rules you have figured out the game has put onto you. So you will know that you can actually, the pistol is much better for close-up combat. The assault rifle with this suppressor will actually attract enemies because enemies will get suspicious or shot heard. and stuff like that. And you can create this immersion by trying to copy the way you see the world by removing the HUD elements. Now, my question is, does it work? Are you actually playing by your own rules, or are you still abiding by the game rules? Because end of the day, the question is, are you playing the game or the game is playing you? If you know that you can easily take the guy out within 150 meters with a 50 cal, no suppressor, why would you honestly take a suppressed weapon and try shooting the guy from 250 meters? Because you have said, you literally created rules for yourself. Do they work? Well, obviously. Are they necessary? Probably. But when it comes to sniping and snipers, to be honest, and this is actual real life, that was discussed on the stream as well. When it comes to sniping, snipers by default is a completely different regiment. Their overall idea of the sniper is not exactly a spearhead, right? They're not pointmen. They don't go in and clean out bases and countries, right? They go for very specific targets. It's basically infiltration, recon, and in case there's an HVT that needs to be taken out, they will try their best to actually do it. They are literally stationary most of the time, and once the opportunity comes, they should be able to take the shot. There's a complete, very hard training program for snipers specifically. And when it comes to this game, and there was a comment obviously about the snipers, that, you know, snipers are very specific class and, you know, what and how. Okay, when it comes to special forces or any army branch, even in Navy, to be honest, specifically Navy, by the way, I mean, you need to know how to handle multiple weapons, right? So when it comes to multiple weapons, you don't get to be called a sniper. You get to be called a marksman. That means you are able to actually efficiently utilize pistol or handgun, assault rifle, a carbine, and a sniper rifle to an extent. Just because you are a marksman does not mean that you will take the first sniper rifle. Doesn't even matter if it's an SVD Dragunov or if it's a 50 cal BFG. It doesn't matter. Nobody expects you to pick up this rifle after 3 years of service, being on guard duty for very, I don't know, secret stuff or just military perimeter, and shoot into the target first try cold muzzle. No one. Literally no one. If you miss, they will be just like, you know, they will just laugh it off. Because again, unless you are spending your days training, you will lose this skill. Yes, you are a marksman, and that's as far as it goes. And that's the truth. Now, back to realism. I must say this looks pretty realistic to me. There's a little bit of fog, as you can see right here. Kinda like the ground is warming up. There is some wind. There's obviously some glitches here and there, which I'm not even gonna try to debunk, because just that's the game engine itself. And you know what? Again, by definition, let's just turn off the HUD. You know, I can see why people are really compelled to immerse themselves, to create this world of immersion by bending the game rules, because it definitely looks realistic while it absolutely is not realistic. It borrows some things from the real life to be a bit more realistic, and then you have to immerse yourself. So you are basically in a world that is not exactly realistic as you want to be. You are creating the rules by yourself while abiding by the game rules. One of the things that if you say, I completely don't agree with you, well, first of all, as you can see, my legs are floating in there. I'm not even standing on the ground. Second of all, why cannot my character jump? It can only climb, but I can't jump while standing on the ground. And I must say, this is pretty basic movement issue that if you're stuck somewhere and you don't get a prompt, and this is Ubisoft title after all, you're gonna get stuck in between the rocks. by jumping, you could technically get out. Since you don't get the prompt of climbing out, because apparently you're too far in between the rocks, you're not gonna get out. Is it realistic that you cannot get out being a special forces soldier due to the lack of a game mechanic? It's not realistic. Is it immersive? Also not. Unless you create a rule. By falling into the ditch, you broke your leg. And probably both arms as well, because again, you're special forces. You should be able to pull your weight out of the ditch. You should have a piece of rope. See, only by creating these rules, we can create these missing realistic parts of the game and create the immersion. So the whole topic in regards, but this is not how real life world works. Well, shit. I mean, first of all, if someone is unable to differentiate between the game and real life, first of all, that's huge kudos to the game developer, because I haven't seen such a game. I mean, at all. And also that person might need some help, because there's been some cases, and I mean quite popular cases, on people just get lost into the fantasy world. You know, they start perceiving the world like a game. It sounds like a meme, but it's true, because you can get invested in a game. You can get invested to a point where you just literally think that, you know, some things are like this or whatnot. So it's real. It can happen. So what's the takeaway for all of this? None. Honestly, this is not a pep talk on how to live your life or how to do things. It's just, if you are thinking about the differences and what's more important, I would say decision's up to you, but you will have to create rules, and you cannot wait that game or developers will provide everything just because you really want to. And again, some things in this game, as realistically as it looks, simply is not there, and some things are even better. So I guess that's kind of one of the things. Also, I think that sniper is about to give me some grief. I guess not anymore. Anyway, on this amazing note, I think I'm gonna end today. And again, thanks for watching. Definitely post your comments in regards what you think about the games, the realism or the immersion. Do we need both? Can we skip one of them? Is it required? Is it necessary? And let's just see like how deep the rabbit hole actually goes, because honestly, I can see the reason why. But at the same time, someone in the game development industry should, you know, kind of listen to the feedback first. They could do it. The tools are here. We see this game, for instance. For example, we see this game, little tweaks, little tiny tweaks, and it could be perfect. Like, honestly, it could be just 10 out of 10, fuck, 11 out of 10. But apparently it's not happening. Also didn't really happen in Breakpoint. But that's a topic for a different day. For now, thanks for watching, guys, and hey, see you next time.